Today, instead of reading your own book, you're going to have 15 minutes to finish reading Act 1, Scene 2. We just started it last time, and you just started your questions that went along with it. So you've got 15 minutes to read through the end of Scene 2 in Act 1 and finish up your questions. I'm going to walk around and make sure that you're getting the right answers. Yes. 890-ish. 890-ish. I don't have mine open. 885 is where it starts. Thanks, Jasmine. So you're going to have about 15 minutes to finish that up. When you finish, go ahead and turn it into the tray. And then we will jump into a little bit of discussion about what we've read so far and take some notes on the rhetoric that we're going to be seeing in Act 2 and read part of Act 2 today. Alright, so the first 15 minutes are yours to finish up Act 1 and I'll circle around and make sure that we're doing what we need to do. Sure.
I'm trying to remember where exactly we left it was after my really long yeah. Too far. This one. Sorry. It's on 893 where we left.
Yeah, so we're on page 893, about line 132. Brutus is talking.
I do not. Sorry. I do.
finish up your Act 1 questions before we move on.
still? Sure. Thanks.
All right, you got about 1 more minute to finish up. Go ahead and turn them in if you're finished. If not, then you need to put them away. should be putting everything away now other than the packet of guided notes that I just handed out to you. It says Julius Caesar and the Art of Rhetoric at the top. Did anyone not get one? Okay, so today we are going to talk a little bit more about Julius Caesar and specifically how rhetoric plays a role in the play. So by the end of today, you will be able to analyze how complex characters develop over the course of a text, interact with other characters, and advance the plot or develop the theme. Who's the complex character that we've already talked a little bit about so far? Brutus. Yes, and why is Brutus complex? Why is he conflicted, Ben? Yeah, he doesn't know whether or not to join Cassius. He is loyal to Caesar, he's Caesar's friend, but he feels like he also needs to be loyal to his country. Alright, and you're also going to determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text, including figurative and connotative meanings, and analyze the cumulative impact of specific word choices on meaning and tone. And that's where our rhetoric is going to come into play. Alright, so first we are going to do some Julius Caesar and real life connections. So for these you're going to have 2 minutes to write down your response, 1 minute to share with a partner, and then we'll have a 2-minute class discussion. So first, I want you to make a list of power-hungry characters from movies, TV, books, and comic books. And then, based on that list, make generalizations about those characters' personalities. So you'll see at the top of your notes there, you've got 4 bullet points. This goes next to the first bullet point. So you've got 2 minutes to write down your response to that. I'll set a timer.
So some of these, like, can you give the, like, what you said, like, power hungry?
Power hungry, so they just want more and more power. So can you think of a ruler in a TV show or a book? There you go. Alright, so for these 2 minutes you're just writing. You'll have a minute to share. I love the Oxford drama.
Oh, hair. Oh, yeah, was it so hair?
If you just need to like make a generalization about who it is.
Is it the war? What's that from?
Just under a minute left.
Where are you from? Yes, I don't know how to finish it, but I was the leader. Is that okay?
Yeah, I was just trying to think which character you're going to put. Who's power hungry? Blair?
Oh, yeah.
Like when she goes to college? Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've never seen that.
Alright, it sounds like most of us are ready to start discussing, so go ahead and talk to the people around you, next to you, about who you wrote down. Yes. Yes. He's a great example. Previously,
Yes, he does. Have you not seen the last episode?
I'm the second.
I've got all How? Oh, did you know what all this?
That's a good one.
I just. I was supposed to do something real.
Alright, let's bring it in. Ben, who did you put?
Me? I only have two.
Okay,
I have Word, Waterplot, and Dr. Beacon.
was that the name of,
Nope.
No,
Okay.
it said it was,
No, that's not,
something pine.
that's Buddy Pine, that's
Buddy
not his name.
Pine.
oh, I don't remember. Okay, and Ricky, you had a good one. Who did you have down?
The Joker.
Yes, the Joker
Oh.
from Batman. All right, let's get one more over here, Emmy.
I said he's a wrestler from the Lorax.
Oh, I have not seen the Lorax. All right, so thinking about the different people that you wrote down or characters that you talked to your neighbors about, what do these characters have in common?
All want more.
They all want more?
But they have.
All right, Sarah,
I feel like they're all willing to use violence.
hang on, I can't hear Sarah. One more time.
I feel like they're all willing to use violence to get what they want.
They're all willing to use violence to get what they want. It's a good idea. Anything else that their personalities have in common?
What they have.
What?
What they have.
Okay, so they all feel like what they already have is not enough. They need more. Okay, so our second real life connection, you got 2 more minutes to write. Is it acceptable, even morally right, to break the law to end what you think is a greater evil? Explain your point and provide support.
What are we
On the
trying to?
second bullet point.
What, how big is the evil that we're trying to
No, it's
correct?
just you.
It's up to you. You can decide. But what law do you think that
Like,
there's?
but if I could like, so it's the same like,
No,
say
it's up to you. All right, so you should just be writing. You can discuss in a minute. But be more specific than that. All right, go ahead and talk with your neighbor.
It depends on how
It's your literally your
running
I
around.
didn't understand the question, so I said no because other people would be
running or
What's that one movie? That's a really good, it's like a really good old,
All right, Dustin and Natalie are going to share what they thought about this question. Dustin?
I said yes, to some extent,
Right.
they throw it over the world. I think because if people can find a break the law, it can save the world.
Okay, so you think that it's okay to break the law if it's going to save the world. Natalie, what do you think?
I said yes in certain situations where the government or something has too much power over citizens because nothing is going to ever change if no one stands up to it.
All right, great. Okay, our third question today. Make a list of political situations in the world in which power struggles have resulted in violence. Explain why you think violence was used, and did the violence lead to improvements or more violence? Do you think that other means could have been used? So this one is a multiple part question. You're on the third bullet point there under real life connections. Go ahead and jot down your response to these questions for number 3.
North Koreans.
Political situations with power struggles. There's some situations with power struggles. It's just different. It's not like two governments against each other.
What did you write about?
Just some of our cases.
Okay, go ahead and talk to your neighbor for just a minute about what you put down.
I know I'm right, come on now, I saw it. You look up. Look it up, look it up.
I honestly don't think.
Kids on you.
I said
I sent that rally we had last year, these files, and I just sent the files.
I don't know, just not good. Not do it.
All right, so this one was a bit more difficult to think about. I've asked Latia and Eli to share their responses with us. Latia.
I stood with North Korea, John F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. I said the violence did get worse, and to help this, they could have tried to talk it out a little bit.
Okay, and then Sarah, I thought you had an interesting response to that. What did you say in response to her?
I said that like the civil wars and revolutions and the overthrows of government, that they were using violence to show what they were truly standing up for in some cases, but I think in others it could have been talked out. But for like the Revolutionary War, I don't think that really could have been talked out, but it made it better that they actually did fight.
Okay, great. All right, and Eli, your thoughts on this one?
Well, my example is the French Revolution, and they didn't really have much of a choice because they could have tried to like say something, but it's not like the nobility would have really listened to them. So their only real option was, hey, let's try to fight them. And obviously, that just led to more violence. So.
Right. Okay, good thoughts. All right, and last one. So for this one, you need to think back to our results of violence activity from Monday. And tell me what you know about other political leaders who have been assassinated. What was the result of that? All right, go ahead and talk with your neighbor.
The rewarding is pretty done. Civil rights didn't stop. If anything, got later.
Yeah, I said
No race, not race. You're saying that.
I didn't hear, I haven't heard of
I
any
said
other
that I
civil
see
rights
that
movement
immediately on
actions.
what they had to say, so they can, also there was, there's some human rights protests that would.
Besides that.
Know that after the.
I feel like you just heard what I said.
One people.
Oh, okay.
No, that's just false.
I always feel like whenever somebody someone like, they hear what I have to say and they would disagree with me or they agree with me, I'm just like,
All right, for this one, we've got Austin and Isabella who are going to share their ideas with us. So Austin, take it away.
Abraham Lincoln, when he got shot, he was watching a play and just threw everybody into a frenzy, and it just showed how we need to protect presidents some more and like have more security.
Okay, good job. Isabella?
I said usually people trying to make change for the better get assassinated, like Martin Luther King Jr. and John F. Kennedy. They were people trying to make their country / the world better, and ignorant people who didn't want change killed them.
Good job. Great responses. Okay, we are going to move on to our notes on rhetoric. So the art of rhetoric. Rhetoric is defined as the art of speaking or writing effectively. So you should be writing down this definition of rhetoric on your notes. The art of speaking or writing effectively. What do you think is the most important word there? Effectively. Great, effectively.
Is that wrong?
And according to Aristotle, rhetoric is the ability in each particular case to see the available means of persuasion. He described three main forms of rhetoric: ethos, pathos, and logos. You are maybe familiar with those terms. We're going to dive deeper into those today. And in order to be a more effective reader and writer, you must understand these three terms. So again, to be an effective reader and writer, you need to have a deep understanding of these three things. Go ahead and look up at me when you're ready to move on. First we have ethos. Ethos is appeal based on the character of the speaker. An ethos-driven document relies on the reputation of the author. So reputation and character are really important here for the author or the speaker. Next we have logos. And logos is appeal based on logic or reason. Documents distributed by companies or corporations are usually logos driven. Scholarly documents are also often logos driven. So logos is appeal based on logic or reason. Finally, we have pathos. Pathos is appeal based on emotion. Advertisements tend to be pathos driven. So if you've seen any of those ASPCA commercials with the really sad looking animals and the really sad song playing in the background, those commercials are appealing to our pathos. They make us feel sad, so that we'll donate money or adopt a sweet little animal. All right. So we have 3 ways that rhetorical appeals can be achieved. The first is through visual information structure. This includes how the text looks on the screen. This is achieved through the appearance of such things as the titles and the headings. So our first one is visual information structure. How it looks on the screen, or on a hard copy if you're reading something. Second is color. This includes the color of the text, the background, and the graphics. The contrast of the colors of each of these items is also important. Does anyone remember what colors we saw a lot when we were talking about dystopian societies and we looked at the different propaganda? Red, yes. And why do you think they used red?
Isn't that true?
Doesn't have anything to do with propaganda.
It's revolutionary.
It's revolutionary. What were you going to say, Moshleen? It stands out. It's a powerful color. What other color is red? Blood. Yeah. All right, so we've got color. And then our third one is graphic images. And this includes the other information in the document aside from the text. This is achieved through things like icons, buttons, and photos. Okay, moving on, we have our rhetorical triangle. So I'll give you a couple minutes. You're going to copy down our rhetorical triangle. You don't need to write the entire description for speaker, audience, and logos, or speaker, audience, and message, sorry. But you do need to get down the most important ideas. So you know that speaker connects with ethos, audience connects with pathos, and the message connects with logos. So our rhetorical triangle. If you take AP Lang next year, you will talk about the rhetorical triangle all the time. While you are finishing up drawing your triangles, I'm going to read what goes with each part. So for speaker, ethos is the Greek term for ethics, but has been made to represent credibility of the person making a communication. So the speaker. Ethos is established through a variety of factors, including status, awareness, professionalism, celebrity endorsement, research, and so forth. You want to build your ethos to make your audience trust what you are saying. That's why in a lot of commercials that are about a medication, they'll get a doctor to speak. The doctor has ethos, and we trust what a doctor has to say about a prescription. Then we have audience and pathos. Pathos is the Greek term for emotion, but has been made to represent how an audience feels or experiences a message. The appeal of pathos makes a person feel excited, sad, angry, motivated, jealous, or any other number of emotions that may persuade them to act based on what you say. So this is all about persuasion, and that's something that we see a lot of in Julius Caesar. And finally, we have logos, which connects to the message on the third point of our triangle. Logos is the Greek term for logic, but has been made to represent the facts, research, and other message elements that provide proof or evidence to a claim. Use logos to convince your audience that what they are hearing or seeing is well researched, well built, or otherwise worth their time. So the other day we talked about the different ways that we try to persuade people in our life to do things that we want them to do. So maybe you have both mom and dad, and you know that with mom, you can win her over if you appeal to her pathos in the way that she feels. But with dad, you got to use logos. You have a well-built argument, well-researched the facts. He's not buying the emotional side. So that's our rhetorical triangle. Does anyone need a little more time? Okay. Alright, we're going to move on to our other rhetorical devices. The first one's a rhetorical question. This is the one that everyone is probably very familiar with. And a rhetorical question is usually defined as any question asked for a purpose other than to obtain the information the question asks. So that's the definition you're writing down there next to rhetorical question. Any question asked for a purpose other than to obtain the information the question asks. So a couple examples of this. Why are you so stupid? Is likely to be a statement regarding one's opinion of the person addressed rather than a genuine request to know. Very rarely do we actually answer that question, right? Or when someone responds to a tragic event by saying, "Why me, God?" It is more likely to be an accusation or an expression of feeling than a realistic request for information. Again, very rarely do we get a response to that. All right. So that's our rhetorical question. Other rhetorical devices that are used in Caesar that we're going to be talking about. The first is repetition. Repetition is a literary device that repeats the same words or phrases a few times to make an idea more clear or memorable, to add emphasis. Imagery is our next one. And imagery is the use of figurative language to represent objects, ideas, or actions in such a way that it appeals to our physical senses. We feel like we can really see it, or taste it, or smell it, or feel what's happening in that scene. It's imagery. We have metaphors and similes. Metaphors are a figure of speech that make a comparison between two things, but does not use like or as. We know that similes do. So similes are a comparison using like or as, where it's a direct comparison, versus a metaphor where there's more of a hidden or an implied comparison because we're not using like or as. Just a few more definitions and then we're going to practice. About 30 more seconds to finish up your notes here. right. Our next round of definitions. First, we have a monologue. We see this frequently in Julius Caesar. And a monologue is just an extended speech by one person. Mono meaning one person is speaking for a lengthy period of time. Lauren gave one of these to finish us with Act 1 last time. Next we have soliloquy. And soliloquy is a popular literary device that's often used in drama, so a play like Julius Caesar, to reveal the innermost thoughts of a character. So we'll point out a few soliloquies that we see as we're reading in Act 2 today. Then finally, tragedy. We know that Julius Caesar is a tragedy because it doesn't end well. But a tragedy is defined as a type of drama that presents a serious subject matter about human suffering and corresponding terrible events in a dignified manner. So we know that Shakespeare is writing in a very dignified manner, right? And Julius Caesar and Macbeth. But it allows us to talk about some of these really terrible events that are happening. We've been able to talk about the results of violence and the results of an assassination, both in Caesar and in our real world. Tragedies allow us to do that. Got just two more definitions. Foreshadowing. This is something that we're going to talk a lot about today in Act 2, Scene 2. Foreshadowing refers to the use of indicative word or phrases that set the stage for a story to unfold and give the reader a hint of something that's going to happen next without spoiling too much. So foreshadowing can add suspense to our story. We know something's going to happen, but we don't know what. What was the first sense of foreshadowing that we got from Act 1? Anyone remember?
The soothsayer said.
Yes, and what did the soothsayer say?
Ides of March.
Beware the Ides of March. So the Ides of March is coming, but we don't know what's going to happen. And finally, we have our tragic hero. We talked a little bit about this on Monday as well. The tragic hero is actually defined by Aristotle. A tragic hero is a literary character who makes a judgment error that leads to his or her own destruction. And if we have a tragic hero, it's likely that that tragic hero has a tragic flaw. And what was the tragic flaw of both Macbeth and Julius Caesar? They're power hungry. We call that ambition, right? Or greed. We talked about the difference between ambition and greed. Great. All right, so at the bottom there, you can begin reading. We're going to practice with our rhetorical statements. You're going to create 5 statements for each of the 3 rhetorical appeals. So you'll have a total of 15 statements, 5 ethos, 5 pathos, and 5 logos. I know it says this is independent practice up there, but you can work with a partner. That's okay with me. You can work with a partner, someone sitting near you to do this. And I've given you a few suggestions up there for motivation for your statements that you're coming up with. So remember, you are using these rhetorical appeals to persuade someone. And you can do that based on the following items, or if you have other ideas, you can choose to do your own. You can sell someone an item in this classroom or something within the school. You can get someone to read a novel that you really enjoy or go see a movie that you're really into. Convince them to agree with your point of view on a topic such as cell phone use in school or homework policies or the curfew. Or explain using facts for support why your opinion or belief is correct on subjects such as climate change, year-round school versus the system we currently use, or block scheduling versus periods for class structure. So Austin's done a great thing. On the back of his notes, he has 3 columns, 5 ethos, 5 pathos, and 5 logos. So if you want to divide the back of your paper up into 3 columns, that would be great. And he's going to then list 5 under each one. So you can work with a neighbor if you'd like, or you can work on your own, but you're coming up with 15 statements.
So like for ethos, could you I've done myself, this doctor is saying it or something like that. Do you just write that? Like I've done it myself? So you can write the whole story. So like you can try this good face wash.
Yes, that's exactly right. Those are on. Yeah, that says.
And then like before and after 15 years.
Did you get these, did you get these?
Yeah.
right, while you are working on that, I'm gonna go ahead and take volunteers for our characters in Act 2, scenes 1 and 2. So Destin, you said you want to be Brutus. And I know Isabella said she wanted to be Calphurnia. Lucius, Ben.
I'll take something down for the carry.
Okay, all right, let's do Cassius for Alexander. Who did you say, Jasmine? Luxurious, okay. Casca? Yes. And Preston, I saw your hand.
The servant.
The servant, great. All right. Sarah? Senna, okay. Ray?
DCS.
Great. Decius? Any other hands? Emmy? Okay. Emmy, why don't you be Caesar today?
Okay.
Okay?
Collier
All right. Collier, who do you want to be?
He said Portia.
Portia? Portia? You want to be Brutus's wife?
Wait, why is there all complicated names and hers just Portia?
All right, we need a Trebonius, Metellus, Publius, and Antony. 4 more.
They all have complicated names.
Publius?
Oh, no, I was kidding. I was just saying the word.
You want to be someone, Taylor?
Publius Taylor.
Call me Taylor.
I got Publius on the line.
All right, you should still be working. I need 4 more volunteers. It's going to be volun-chosen.
Voluntold.
Let's take callbacks.
Is there one with like 1 or 2 lines?
Elizabeth, why don't you be
I can't really read this.
Publius?
Wait, is this still?
Yes.
I like need to go to the bathroom, so that's why I said like I didn't want to do someone so falling. But like I still want to.
So now you do want to be someone? Okay. Do you want to be Metellus, Trebonius, or Antony?
I'm gonna do Metellus.
Okay.
That's fine. I like to practice my lines.
We need 2 more.
I see.
Natalie, you're Antony. And we need 1 more. 1 more volunteer. Toby, you're Trebonius. All right, take about 2 more minutes.
Okay, hopefully we just
Take just a couple more minutes to work on this. If you're finished, you can turn it in. If not, then you'll have to finish these up for homework so we can move on to Act 2.
Wait, Act 2. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Do what, Emmy?
Wait, hold on. Are we doing Act 2, Scene 1 and 2?
I can't even find Scene 2.
That's what I'm saying.
I've been scrolling for a while.
Oh wait, I found it.
None of it makes sense.
All right, if we're finishing up, you should be turning in your notes. If not, then you can put them away and finish up those 15 statements for homework. We are turning to page 910.
Trying to like connect a name.
Act 2.
God knows I'm gonna do it last season in Miami.
And then basically like.
Yeah, we did. We practiced on these days.
And then logos, statistics or something.
It's nice on all the lines. So, man. A lot of happy videos. Those kids are they don't know what we're doing.
Run your statement right.
I literally I told Abby that and she was like, oh, I What's the lowest class? 1A. Please don't make this 1A.
Can Jasmine be British?
It's just gonna sure. No, that's just how I read. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you just.
I need to go read British.
It's disgusting.
You're
No,
disgusting.
she's done that since like 8th grade.
Fifth grade.
Like I have one line.
I think I have one.
I have a lot. Or next thing too.
What? My lord. I have 3 monologues.
All right. Make sure you know who you are if you're a reader today. We are beginning on page 911 with Brutus.
Brutus, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you so much for reminding me.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, we wouldn't have to go for homework.
All right, so I'm passing out your Act 2 questions.
Well, we have
All right, so we are at the top of page 911, and we are starting with Brutus in his orchard.
Oh, that didn't sound good.
It's fine, put it away. All right, Dustin, you are our Brutus, so as soon as you're ready, get us started.
What, Lucius? Ho! I cannot, by the progress of the stars, give guess how near today, Lucius, I say. I would it were my fault to sleep so soundly. When, Lucius, when awake, I say, what, Lucius?
Called you, my lord.
Get me a taper in my study, Lucius. When it is lighted, come and call me here.
I will, my lord.
Must be by his death, and for my part, I know no personal cause to spurn in him, but for the general he would be crowned. How that might change his nature, there's the question. It is the bright day that brings forth the adder, and that craves weary walking. Crown him that, and then I grant we put a sting on him, that at his will he may do danger with. The abuse of greatness is when it disjoins remorseful power, and to speak truth of Caesar. I have not known when his affection swayed, for more than his reason, but 'tis a common proof that lowliness is young ambition's ladder, where to climb upward turns his face. But when he once attains the utmost round, he turns unto the ladder, turns his back. Looks into the clouds, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. So Caesar may, and lest he may prevent, and since the quarrel will bear no color for the thing he is, fashion it thus that what he is augmented would run to thee in these extremities, and therefore think him as a serpent's egg, which hatch would as his kind grow mischievous and kill him in the shell.
Great job, Dustin. All right, so let's look there. Brutus. Is that a soliloquy or a monologue?
Soliloquy.
Oh, we have mixed thoughts.
I don't know, I didn't understand this.
Okay, Ben, you seem pretty positive that it's a soliloquy. Why do you think so?
Because he's trying to convince himself.
He's trying to convince himself.
Yeah.
So he's talking through his own thoughts. And what other stage direction clues us in that this is a soliloquy?
Lucius Exits.
Lucius exits.
It's definitely Lucius that way.
Yes.
Lucius.
So that's okay. But Brutus is alone on stage here. So Brutus is alone and he's talking to himself. He's talking out his thoughts. Good job, Ben. All right, so we should already have the answers to question 1. Review Brutus's soliloquy at the beginning of Act 2 and explain the 2 metaphors. So we have 2 metaphors there. He compares Caesar to a snake and a leader climbing a ladder. Why would he compare Caesar to a snake? He's sneaky. What else? It's not just a snake, but he thinks of him as a serpent's egg. Why would he make that distinction? A serpent's egg.
Because he's gonna hatch into a bad leader.
Ah, okay. So Alexander said because he's going to hatch into a bad leader. So nothing too bad has happened yet, but we know that eventually an egg will hatch, right? And it's a serpent's egg. So that will unleash some evil. Good. All right, so our second metaphor there is a leader climbing a ladder. And why would he use that metaphor?
Because leaders tend to go higher and higher.
Great. Good job, Sophia. Okay, so Sophia said leaders tend to go higher and higher. They're always reaching for more and more power. And also, if we think about climbing a ladder, to climb a ladder, you have to start from the bottom, right? And so he's going to get to the top and forget where he came from, which was the bottom. So he's going to forget about the people who are below him. Good. All right, so we've already got our question, our answer to number 1. So we're moving on to number 2. Be looking for this as we read. Cassius suggests that everyone swears an oath to follow through with the assassination. Brutus disagrees. Explain some of the details from line 114 to 140 that Brutus uses to explain why an oath would be unnecessary. So be listening for that word oath and see what Brutus has to say about it. Okay, so we're at the top of page 912.
The paper burneth in your closet, sir. Searching the window for a flint, I found this paper thus sealed up, and I'm sure it did not lie there when I went to bed.
Get you to bed again. It is not day. It is not tomorrow nor the Ides of March.
I know not, sir.
Look in the calendar and bring me word.
I will, sir.
The exhalations whizzing in the air gives so much light that I may read by them. Brutus, thou sleep, awake, and see thyself. Shall Rome speak, strike, redress? Brutus, thou sleepst, awake. Such instigations have been often dropped where I have took them up. Shall Rome thus must I piece it out? Shall Rome stand under one man's awe? What Rome? My ancestors did from the streets of Rome the Tarquin drive when he was called a king. Speak, strike, redress. Am I entreated to speak and strike? O Rome, I make thee promise, if the redress will follow, thou receivest thy full petition at the hand of Brutus.
Sir, March is wasted 15 days.
'Tis good. Go to the gate, somebody knocks. Since Cassius first did when we met against Caesar, I have not slept. Between the acting of a dreadful thing and the first motion, all the interim is like a phantasma or a hideous dream. The genius and the mortal instruments are then in council in the state of a man, like to a little kingdom suffers then the nature of insurrection.
Sir, 'tis your brother Cassius at the door, who doth desire to see you.
Is he alone?
No, sir, there are well with him.
Do you know them?
No, sir, their hats are plucked out their ears and half their faces buried in their cloaks, that by no means I may discover them by any mark of favor.
Let him enter. There are faction or conspiracy, shamest thou to show thy day which thou by night. When evils are most free, then by day, where wilt thou find a cavern dark enough to mask thy monstrous visage? See none conspiracy, hide it in smiles and affability. For if thou have thy native semblance on not Erebus itself within enough to hide thee from prevention.
Great. Okay, so at the end there, when Brutus is speaking, he personifies conspiracy. We didn't even talk about personification today, but does anyone know what that is?
Something that's not object has human characteristics.
Yeah, so something that's not living, or something that's not human, we give human-like characteristics. Great, so we're personifying conspiracy here. And what do you think that Brutus's personification of the conspiracy implies about the guilt of the conspirators? Why would he personify conspiracy? What does that do? Creates what? Okay, so it maybe creates some suspense. What else? Why else would he personify conspiracy? If conspiracy has human-like traits or qualities, does that make conspiracy more or less powerful? More. So if conspiracy is more powerful, then it's like conspiracy, this thing, this inanimate thing, is controlling these people. So it kind of gets rid of some of the guilt, right, of the conspirators themselves, because now they're just blaming it on conspiracy. All right, Tyler, we are at the top of 914, page 914. Cassius, you're up.
I think we are too bold upon your rest. Tomorrow, Brutus, do we trouble you?
I have been up this hour, awake all night. No, these men come along with you.
Yes, every man of them, and no man here but honors you, and every one doth wish you had put that opinion of yourself, which every noble Roman bears of you. This is Trebonius.
He is welcome hither.
This Decius Brutus.
He is welcome too.
This Casca, this Cinna, and this Metellus Tribune.
They are all welcome. Watchful cares to interpose themselves betwixt your eyes and at night.
Shall I entreat a word?
Realize the east, doth not the day break here.
No. Oh, pardon, sir, it doth, and yon gray lines that fret the clouds are messengers of day.
You shall confess that you are both deceived. Here has a quivering sword, the sun arises, which is a great wave blowing on the south, weighing the youthful season of the year. Some 2 months hence of fire toward the north, he first presents his fire, and the high east stands as the capital directly here.
Give me your hands all over one by one.
And let us swear our resolution.
No, not an oath.
There it is, not an oath. Let's see why.
If not the face of men, the sufferance of our souls, the times of use. If these be motives weak, break off 2 times, and every man hence to his idle bed. So let high-sided tyranny rage on until each man drop by lottery. But if these, as I am sure they do, bear fire enough to kindle cowards and to still with valor, the melting spirits of women, then countrymen, what need be any spur but our own cause to prick us to redress? What other bond than secret Romans that have spoken the word and will not palter? And what other oath than honesty to honesty engaged, that this shall be, or we will fall for it? Swear priests and cowards and men cautionless, old feeble carrions, and such suffering souls that welcome wrongs unto bad causes swear such creatures as men delve, but do not stain the even virtue of our enterprise. Nor insuppressive mental of our spirits to think that our own cause our performance did need an oath, when every drop of blood that every Roman bears and nobly bears is guilty of a civil bastardy, and he do break the smallest particle of any promise that hath passed from him.
All right. So what do we think? Why does Brutus say that an oath is unnecessary? Why does he not want to make an oath? Any thoughts? Guesses? Yeah, Emmy?
Maybe that if they weren't willing to do it without an oath, then it wasn't worth it? Question mark.
Yeah, you are on the right track. Any other thoughts about why Brutus would not want to make an oath?
this is a guess, but
Go for it.
because he's loyal to like both.
Okay,
Like,
so,
I don't know.
yeah, we see that Brutus is continuing to wrestle with his loyalty to Caesar, but also to his country. Have you ever made like a pact with a friend, or like you do something really bad and you like say that you're gonna both be sworn to secrecy and neither of you's gonna tell, no matter what? It's like say you get in trouble with your parents, but you both say like, well, I'm not gonna tell if you don't. So Brutus is saying here that he doesn't want to make an oath or be sworn to secrecy because he doesn't want to feel like, and he really doesn't believe that they're doing something bad. So that's where, Isabella, what you're saying comes into play. He's trying to convince himself. He really wants to believe that what he's going to do is for the good of the country and not a bad thing. And not that he's committing murder just for the sake of committing murder. All right. We are on to question 3. So this is what we're going to be looking for next. Cassius suggests that the group also kill Antony. Okay. So as we're reading lines 162 through 184, be looking for reasons why Brutus says that they should not kill Antony. So Cassius says that they should. Brutus says they should not. You're looking for Brutus's reasons why they should not kill Antony. And we are picking up with Cassius in line 141. Alexander, whenever you're ready.
But what of Cicero?
Cicero.
Shall we sound him? I think he will stand very strong with us.
Let us not have him out.
No, by no means.
Oh, let us have him, for his silver hairs will purchase us a good opinion, and by men's voices to commend our deeds. It shall be said that his judgment ruled our hands, our youth and wildness shall no but appear, but all be buried in his gravity.
Oh, name him not. Let us not break with him, for he will never follow anything that other men begin.
Then leave him out.
Indeed, he is not fit.
Shall no man else be touched, but only Caesar.
Decius will be urged. I think it is not meet. Mark Antony, so well beloved of Caesar, should outlive Caesar. We shall find of him a shrewd contriever, and you know his means. If he improve them, may well stretch so far as to annoy us, which will to prevent. Let Antony and Caesar part together.
Our course will seem too bloody. Caius Cassius, to cut the head off and then hack the limbs, like wrath and death and envy afterwards. For Antony is but a limb of Caesar. Let's be sacrificers, but not Virtue's case. Thaddeus, I don't know. We all stand up against the spirit of Caesar, and in the spirit of men there is no blood. Oh, that we could come by Caesar's spirit and not dismember Caesar, but alas, Caesar must bleed for it. And gentle friends, let's kill him boldly, but not wrathfully. Let's carve him as a dish fit for the gods, not hew him as a carcass fit for hounds. And in our hearts, as some masters do, stir up their servants to active rage. And after seeing to chide it shall make our purpose sincere and not envious, which shall appear to the common eyes. We shall be called perjurers, not murderers. And to Mark Antony, think not of him, for he can do no more than Caesar's iron and Caesar's Gentile.
All right, so why does Brutus say they should not kill Antony, Alexander, and then Emmy?
Because since he's like a worker of Caesar, it's not needed to kill him since the arm is not gonna, an arm is not gonna be able to do anything without a living body.
Great job. Okay, so Antony is useless without Caesar, right? So they don't even need to kill him. Emmy, what were you gonna add?
I was gonna say that killing Antony would be like overkill.
Great.
Because Caesar's kind of like the queen and everyone else is like following around, so they can't really do anything.
Good job. They don't need to kill Antony. Great job today. Okay, you can hold on to your Act 2 questions and we will finish up with Act 2 on Friday.
Have you been to that?